Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review. Heck, we do so many of these, Aaron. What number are we on? Is it 258?
258.
Whoo, 258. And we are here live Sunday night with this week's elite panel of the NoDQ review. Of course, Aaron Rift, JJ Williams is back, and Jeff Meacham. We're going with 4. I like this 4 because we can maybe get the shows done a little bit quicker. And Walter's always there, right? He'll be on next week. So Mr. Reliable. He's always in the waiting room if we need him. Gentlemen, what's going on? JJ, I'll start with you. What's up, man?
Not a whole lot, dude. Just kind of chilling here on a nice, cool, sunny Sunday afternoon, evening. Getting ready to talk some wrestling here. Got a little bit of extra sleep this morning after the exhausting streams that we had yesterday across the multiverse of media, doing watch-alongs and open mic nights and game shows, and having Noah Foster sing the DuckTales theme for no reason. But yeah, it was good times had by all, and I'm looking forward to discussing whatever you've got in store for us this week, Virtue.
I got topics, so we're going to get through a show. I'll tell you what, it was kind of like a meh week to me in terms of what I wanted to talk about. So if the NoDQ Galaxy wants to make it interesting, wrestling related, current wrestling related, feel free to chime in and hijack the show. That's cool. But I do have topics. Yes, Jeff.
Well, no, I was just saying, JJ was pointing out to me in chat, it's like, what are we going to talk about today? It's been like a slow news week. Yes, Impact Wrestling did give us something newsworthy to talk about at the end of their show last night with their rebranding, but other than that, it's not like a whole lot of like to go into. So
it's a slow wrestling week when the National Wrestling Alliance can be a discussion point.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I was like, oh my gosh, we're reaching for Impact / TNA, NWA.
Yes.
Oh, what do we do here? I mean, the NoDQ Galaxy always keeps us on our toes anyway.
Always.
So, all right, Jeff, how about you? What's up?
It is a day of freedom, Virtue. People know that I'm no longer under the thumb of the Masca Mafia as of Friday, so I am just looking clear into the horizon of my future, whatever that may bring. And today it brings the NoDQ review with the dads and the moderator and the webmaster himself. So we'll see how it goes today.
You'll always find something to do, right?
Yeah, I looked at it as either I get reinstated where I was and I have a chance to just settle the schedule down, or I am dismissed as I was. And it's like, all right, I got my freedom back. Let's do this shit.
There you go. Well, all right, be on your A game tonight. Captivate the NoDQ Galaxy tonight. All right, Aaron, what's up, man?
Doing pretty good. It has been a bit of a slow wrestling week news-wise. One of the biggest stories involved that championship that's right next to JJ. Impact Wrestling going back to being TNA in 2024. That just goes to show it was not a very newsworthy week, but we did have some developments as we get closer to the Crown Jewel Premium Live event, which should be one of the bigger WWE events of the year. And then we have Survivor Series, things starting to build up towards that, and even some seeds planted for WrestleMania, which I'm sure we'll talk about here on this live stream. And of course, you guys could super chat your comments if you want to throw out a random wrestling topic about Bart Gunn or EC3. That's up to you. But
hey, EC3 is irrelevant. He is relevant now. He is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion World's Heavyweight Champion, by God.
Yeah.
The Overman. I'll tell you what. With all the heat that EC3 gets from whoever, he's on Russo's network with a podcast, and I'm telling you what, the very, very nice little 30-minute every week listen between those two guys, and it's not always about wrestling.
No,
EC3 is actually more intelligent than I think a lot of wrestling fans might think. Just wanted to throw that out there. Plus, he's from my area too.
I think also the thing is people don't want to look past the character or lack thereof of the character EC3. Derek Bateman's a smart dude. And, when you get to hear him, verbalize about things, not just wrestling, he's got a lot of really strong opinions, good or bad. So I enjoy listening to EC3. God help me, I do.
Hey, is his IQ as high as Virtue's? That's the question.
A lot of
highly unlikely.
Aaron,
listen,
I am not a genius. Ravens probably has a higher IQ than I do. I am 1 point away from being what they call a genius, and I'm okay with that. I would not want to live that life.
Yeah.
Put rockets into space or whatever. No surgeries like a doctor. I couldn't be that type of person.
Right.
So, anyway, are we ready to start?
Yeah. We do have a super chat here from Walter. He just wanted to remind us, don't forget to do his shtick. You know what it is.
Feel merchy, kids.
Feel merchy.
Like and share the video.
Please do that. Yes.
Guys, if you do super chat, do not steal his shtick in terms of the typos. Make sure you get your message out so we can read it, and I don't sound like a fool trying to read these messages. Anyways, let's get to it, Virtue.
So the perfect first topic, and we just briefly talked about EC3. We know he's the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. We know Jeff has a big, fandom of the history of NWA. JJ often talks about other wrestling promotions. So this is the first topic. The NoDQ Galaxy, chime in because we need an answer here. And I'm not quite sure what it's going to be, but we know WWE is the number one wrestling promotion in the world, right? Sorry, AEW fans, but that's the truth. But I'm going to give you a bone. AEW is the number 2 wrestling promotion in the world, and they proved it by what they did at Wembley. But we really need to have this discussion because back in the Attitude Era, we had WWF, WCW, they jostled back and forth, and we had ECW. We could say maybe was the third brand. I mean, I don't know, maybe New Japan back then, maybe NWA, but you always could at least have a third promotion you could say top 3, and a lot of fans kept up with all of them. What's number 3 today? Today, right now, not a year ago, not 5 years ago, because Ring of Honor could have been in that discussion. JJ, I'm going to start with you, and the NoDQ Galaxy, chime in. What's the number 3 wrestling promotion today? And kind of back it up on why you think that.
Well, I'm going to say that Impact Wrestling, what's going to become TNA again in 2024, is essentially the number 3 promotion. And my reasoning behind that is I understand that New Japan or AAA or CMLL or some of those other international promotions may have more fans, but until they get statewide exposure to where the majority of the wrestling fandom is, considering that WWE is number 1, they will always be number 4 or 5 at best. Impact Wrestling, it's the little engine that could, man. We didn't think they'd last a year. They did. We didn't think they'd last 5 years. They did. We didn't think they'd last 10 years. They did. We didn't think they'd last and survive the Hogan-Bischoff administration. And somehow, like a phoenix, they rose from the ashes. And they're putting on phenomenal product. I watched Bound for Glory last night. It was an amazing show. I got even more hype for with Noah doing commentary on our stream because that dude has got just such a freaking passion for all things wrestling. But I would say until one of those international companies gets a mainstream TV deal here in the US, Impact is going to be the number 3 promotion.
Now, I heard NWA might have something cooking, right?
They've supposedly inked a deal with the CW network. We're not really sure when that's going to launch. If it's going to be exclusive to the CW streaming, which you can download on your Roku. If you have a Roku, you can access the CW network. CW is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, so they're under the same umbrella as AEW. A couple weeks ago, Billy Corgan talked about expanding the territories again within the National Wrestling Alliance, with TNA making this announcement last night that Impact is going back to TNA. I'm wondering if maybe that's going to be another territory. Did the people at Anthem and Billy Corgan have enough of a falling out where they wouldn't be willing to work together again? Or could we see some interpromotional going on between the NWA and TNA? If so, then that could definitely help boost NWA's visibility.
Now, JJ, in the chat, we can't count NXT. That's under the WWE umbrella.
Yeah. Right.
Same with ROH.
Just like I'm not going to count Ring of Honor any longer because that's under the AEW umbrella.
Right.
But TNA,
I will say
Impact,
NXT has got the number 2 women's division in the world right now next to Impact Wrestling.
Yep.
They do women's wrestling better than the main roster or AEW combined.
Yep.
And I like the fact that you said TNA Impact because it's still been around technically this whole time.
Yeah.
That's probably a good bet for number 3. I mean, I know there's going to be some New Japan people, like Japan, they're number 1. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Outside the rest of the world, this is what we're talking about. No.
Yeah. And in
So there's
Mexico,
not many,
I'm sure AAAI is number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can kind of count that as like New Japan, but Mexico, very huge there, but we're talking worldwide and global. So Jeff, over to you now. I want to throw Al Snow a bone with OVW because he did get a Netflix gig for some reality show that's on there.
Right.
They're at least getting some notoriety, and they're selling their little haul out every TV taping down there that they do. But it's still very, very indie feeling. It's small. They don't have many big names down there. But I wanted to throw him a bone because if you haven't checked it out, that show Wrestlers on Netflix is very, very good. So Jeff, you're on the floor now.
Yeah, I gotta agree with calling Impact TNA the number 3 promotion in the world. They've got the longevity, they've got the global visibility, they've got the platform to stream around the world. Around the world. And they've been around. This is their 21st year. I keep thinking it's 2000, but it's 2002, same as NoDQ's media shows. Not too long after, actually. So. Yeah, they do have, by and large, the best women's wrestling division that has that amount of global visibility. You could argue Stardom with New Japan has the better, but again, they're not a globally. Yes, New Japan has New Japan World, but I think in terms of overall longevity and being able to promote on a wide variety of platforms, Impact's definitely there. And with the rebranding of TNA, JJ brought up a point I didn't think about. The NWA, going back to territory system. At first, I saw it as them backpedaling on this 20-year plan that Billy Corgan laid out when he bought the brand. And, Aaron was quick to point out, whatever Billy's thinking is what it is. But I would not be surprised if enough water has passed under that bridge where TNA and the NWA can at least work together. Will they become the NWA territory, or will TNA absorb the NWA? Who knows? I don't know what Billy Corgan's ego status is. I've never met the man directly, one-on-one, but I would think that as a fan of the business and a fan of wrestling as long as he's been, going back to working with Paul Heyman back in the ECW days, I think that anything that benefits the business overall but still helps his bottom line, he'd be willing to do. He's a businessman at the end of the day. He is his own brand. So Impact's definitely the number 3, and with the relaunch of the TNA name, and by the way, there is a very high likelihood there'll be a Jeff Meacham Network road trip to the show in Vegas in January. Still not out there now to cover it. So Impact's number 3. If the NWA works with them, they'll be in the discussion again.
Now, Jeff, at what point didn't Impact way back in the day, TNA, they had 7-figure viewers. They had 1 million. And I think 1 week or two, they had almost 2 million. Who was writing their shows when that happened?
Bro.
Yeah, Vince Russo.
So, right. And
for better or for worse, WCW 2000. But, under the right context, he has been helpful to the wrestling business. Can't deny that. But TNA was there. I think, like, what really kind of shot them in the foot is the Hogan Bischoff bringing them in. And then it's just Dixie Carter getting maybe a little bit too much involved, like Tony Khan does.
Yeah.
And look what happened. It is what it is, but that's what happened. We all saw it. We read about it. It's facts.
No, we did. And, Russo... And again, at the time, Russo was heavily, openly involved with TNA. We had him on the show for an interview, and it was very just matter of fact. And he was doing a great job at that time. Was it over the top? Yeah, but it needed to be. It needed to be alternative. Keeping him hidden in the shadows from Spike TV, that was a little shady by Dixie. Probably the wrong move at the end of the day, looking back. So if he was asked to be involved again, I'd be surprised if he said yes, but I wouldn't be 100% surprised.
He's got a nice little podcast network. He can do it from his basement at home. He's okay.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Tito said back then, actually, Cornette and Russo worked together a little bit in TNA. They might not have liked each other, but I think that was around that same time they were getting 7-figure viewers for TNA. I mean, look what happens when people actually can work together, even if they don't like each other. You can make good things happen.
No, and Jeremy's comments 100% spot on, because that was at the time that the TNAers were being flown into the promotion out here, and we were there all the time to interview AJ, Daniels, Joe, Saban, Shelley when he came in. Like all these, we were trying to get everybody we could, because TNA was the hot topic of the wrestling world at that time. Yeah. But you notice, once Hogan took over in 2010, 2011, Aaron and I kind of went, okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, Aaron. I don't know if you have any chats you want to talk about or your input on this. I'm sure you'll agree, but we all know you're a huge TNA fan. Well, again, we're talking about number 3, though. It's not like too big of a deal here.
All right. Well, get ready for a little bit of a bomb here to be dropped. But
I hope
first,
so.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, imagine TNA bringing back Aces and Eights and Bully Ray. I mean, I appreciate the super chat, but please don't even joke about Aces and Eights. For the love of God, please never mention Aces and Eights. I'd rather you mention Bart Gunn or EC3 or Ricochet, but please keep Aces and Eights out of the super chats, or I might lose my damn mind. JJ?
Damn.
I might help you lose your damn mind here, because I thought Aces and Eights was a decent concept until it was revealed to be a shit ton of jobbers.
Okay, let me say this. If they had
in the building up until Bully being revealed as the leader, I thought Aces and Eights was a pretty stellar concept.
Yep.
Well, first of all, it was
and then it NWO'd itself.
It was a knockoff of Sons of Anarchy, but you know what? That show was really popular at the time, so I get the idea in doing it. But yeah, when they started having like Garrett Bischoff in the group and what's his name? The other kid.
Wes Briscoe. Basically, when they went from NWO in '96 to NWO Hollywood versus Sting with AJ Styles and Sting, I was like, okay, that's enough of this shit.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I would go with Retribution over Aces and Eights.
No. I disagree by a lot. A lot.
Damn, Aaron. Okay.
Aces and Eights was almost like the final nail in Impact's coffin. Retribution didn't really damage WWE as a brand. They tried something during the pandemic. It didn't work, and that was that.
Yep.
Oh, God, I almost threw my mouth just now.
So, Aaron, I don't know if you're still on Super Chats, but get through them so you can get to your bombshell. I don't know what you were going to say.
Yeah.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 Super Chat, says, imagine a knockoff faction based on Breaking Bad. Well, they could have done that 10 years ago, but you never know. If Eric Bischoff was in creative running it, you never know what he might come up with. And to be fair, it makes sense. Like if there's a popular television show, you want to try to capitalize on that show's popularity. I get it. But the execution was very, very poor.
You always want to reflect society. WWE's always done that. They did it with Sergeant Slaughter in '91. They always want to reflect society. That's like what's going on. So it makes it topical to the casual people observing, right, Richard?
Yes. Anyways, but, we don't want to dive into that too much. But yeah. I know what you're saying.
Okay, so TNA at number 3. I am going to have to disagree with everybody on that take. I would not even call TNA number 3 in the United States if we're just including United States promotions. I would say New Japan is more influential in 2023 than TNA. You have guys like Okada there that AEW brings in, and you have Will Ospreay and lots of top-tier international stars. WWE trying to sign people from New Japan. Impact is where all the rejects of not just WWE but AEW go, and it's a step above public access. I think they got like 77,000 viewers on AXS last week. Like, is that number 3? Now you might say, okay, well, what is number 3 then in the United States? I would argue that Game Changer Wrestling has more reach in the United States than Impact. You got Matt Cardona there who's doing some great stuff, and they're bringing in guys from GCW into AEW, and even guys that are in AEW or working in I can't even talk right now. I'm so fired up right now.
Because you're in disbelief of yourself, but go ahead.
I am, very much so. There are guys in AEW that are working Game Changer Wrestling. Yeah, Will Ospreay's doing Impact, but I think he's just doing that as a little bit of leverage. He's like, well, I can go here. I can go to one of these other promotions. And he's just trying to get all the sides to try and pay him as much money as possible so he can get the biggest contract. Nobody mentioned MLW, and they have Enzo. And I would argue that Enzo is a bigger star than anybody in Impact.
Is he
I don't
still
even
there?
watch. I think so.
I thought he lied. I thought there was like some disagreement.
Oh, you're right.
and
He did
left.
leave. So never mind. MLW's not in the running. So
Well, that's
forget
okay.
about that.
So yeah, to go to Virtue's point, to reference back to Bischoff, at the time he took over WCW, he said, "Oh yeah, they were number 2, but they might as well have been 222 with the amount of visibility they had." Anybody below AEW is in that spot right now because they're all fighting for number 3, and that the amount of food they're trying to grab at is scraps at this point because WWE is such a powerhouse, and AEW has been able to pick up the bigger scraps of what they're throwing away. Everybody else is fighting for freaking crumbs at this point. That's the thing with number 3. Number 3 is fighting for almost nothing.
And NWA is like 6, 7, 8, somewhere down at the
NWA needs to seriously pick a approach. Oh, we have a 20-year plan. We're doing away with territories. They're what, 5 years in? Okay, back to territories. Just kidding. I fool you. What the hell, Billy? Make up your mind.
Hey, to NWA's credit, they did have, prior to his WWE and NXT run, Sean Ricker over there.
Oh yeah,
Nick Aldis. I think
Ricky
Thunder
Starks.
Rosa, Ricky Starks. So it was a good little landing spot before some of these people got to the bigger spot, which that's really what we want here with a number 3.
Yeah.
Even a number 4. We want more of those.
You said 2023. You said right now. You didn't say 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I think you could have made a solid argument that NWA was number 3 when they had Eli Drake and all the people that were there that eventually went to AEW, like Ricky Starks and Thunder Rosa. Like they had a pretty solid roster. They had Eddie Kingston, and pandemic hit. We lost the crowds, and then they put their world title on Tyrus. So NWA is what it is now.
They went to Tyrus. They had it on Trevor Murdoch, who has been by and large been a tag team wrestler the majority of his career. People didn't buy it. Did they put it on
Tyrus, or did they put it on Fox News or whatever Tyrus is on? What did they really put that title on? You know what I mean?
Again, Billy's not 100% ignorant of the branding he's doing because Tyrus had a platform. It'd have been like putting the title on JBL. Oh wait, they did that too.
Hey, Virtue, I will say this though. For any of the other promotions that are going for number 3. If they can get CM Punk, they're instantly number 3. I think that would seal the deal. If Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call them, if they can somehow sign CM Punk, and I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's in their price range, but Ace Steel did some producing work there for Bound for Glory. Could be a way to try and get the two sides together. If CM Punk goes to TNA, I would have a new interest in watching TNA and giving them another shot, but they need the star power. Like
they do.
As far as just the wrestling goes, if people want an alternative to WWE, they're going to watch AEW. I think the only people watching Impact are people that either can watch wrestling 24/7, 7 days a week, or people that are so frustrated with Tony Khan and the EVPs of AEW that they just don't want to watch AEW. They hate it, so they watch Impact Wrestling as the alternative to WWE. But there's not that many people.
It's like you've always said, Aaron, if you don't like something, don't go on and bitch about it and talk about it. Control the situation with your remote and your wallet. Don't watch it, don't buy it.
Narrative, what?
What?
All right, Aaron, what else we got here?
Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Thank you for the super chats. He says, seriously, NWA should bring in Tessa Blanchard. I mean, they brought in Tyrus, so why not?
They were going to bring in Tessa, but then she ended up ironically, she's at XPW now, which says everything.
Oh, XPW. There you go. They're another contender, maybe.
Hey, Joey Ryan's looking for work.
Oh, geez.
Good night, everybody.
Marty Skrull's looking for work.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, hey, that's Billy Corgan's his way of doing business. So why not give all? He's all about second chances, right?
All right, Ryback. Okay,
Ryback, Alberto Del Rio. He should just, you know what? I would like Billy Corgan more if he just embraced it and signed every controversial, hated figure in wrestling, and just as a big FU to the critics. I would like Billy Corgan.
And Enzo could be a mouthpiece.
Yeah, Enzo, Ryback,
that would be
Alberto
NWA
Del Rio,
heaven
Tessa
for Jeff
Blanchard.
If Rob Black had the money, he'd sign all those people just to make XPW more controversial. Oh my God, it'd be so much fun to talk about. Oh my God. Anyway, carry on.
All right, shout out to Interstate Kyle, who's in the chat room. Maybe we'll get him
Yes.
back on a future No DQ review on a Sunday night if he's available.
There you go.
I was going to say Mr. Tito.
Reliable.
Walter, Rage of Wrestling, sent in a $2 super chat, says, who's the worst champion from each company ever? Okay.
Oh, boy.
I'll start on this one. Worst champion from WWE, probably Alberto Del Rio. We just mentioned him. You could say Vince, but he really didn't have any kind of a title run. So I'll say Alberto Del Rio.
I'll disagree with Vince because in the WWE ECW, Mr. McMahon as a 3-month ECW champion was horseshit.
What does that ECW count though?
It was under the WWE umbrella. So yes, it does.
Okay, fair enough.
All right,
then we could say he was the worst ECW.
Let's do
champion.
that. Let's do this for each federation real quickly. I'll go next, and this will make Tito happy.
Okay,
because it'll prove that I was always trolling Jinder Mahal.
See,
Jinder
I mean,
Mahal, you know,
I should make that
I
my
knew it
answer.
was that bad. I embraced it, especially when he
Yes.
wrestled Roman. But like, let's be honest, I was propping Roman up for doing anything. I wasn't propping up Jinder Mahal as a champion because he was a jobber not long before that. That was the issue.
Right.
So, what do you guys got for WWF?
Stan
JJ?
Stasiak.
Okay.
We're going way back.
oh, way back. In the time I've been watching, oh God. Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, Ginger has to be the worst of the time I've been watching.
Okay. Aaron, let's just do a couple promotions. What's the next promotion?
WCW, I would say, well, sorry,
Arquette.
Virtue, but I'd
Yeah,
probably
Vince,
say
yeah.
I'd probably say Vince Russo.
Yeah,
Sorry.
by a lot.
But like that's the same thing as like Vince
Same
McMahon.
thing as
Let's-
Vince. But David
You gotta-
Arquette really wasn't like an actual. I'm trying to think of like an
That's
actual
true.
wrestler that was WCW champion. Who would be the worst WCW champion?
Tough, huh?
Yeah,
You know what? I'll go with the Giants' first reign win because he was like 8 days and it ended up in that World War III nonsense.
I mean,
So
that's fair enough.
The Giants' 95 Havoc win is the worst WCW reign. It's actually a wrestler. And Arquette at the end of the day, yeah, not a wrestler,
I'll
but
say
it got the
Arquette.
job done it wanted to do.
Like,
Vince
because
Russo
no
was
No headline in USA Today for one day is worth that for that championship title. But
at the point that Bram was at, Virtue, just freaking shoveling dirt on the grave at that point.
JJ,
honestly.
you got
But
one?
For WCW, I don't know.
Okay. Aaron, what else? We don't have to do
With
too
Jeff
much.
Jarrett. Well, we could talk about AEW, but it hasn't been around that long. Who's the
Hangman
worst
Adam
champion?
Page.
Yeah,
He
probably.
was a
Oh,
champ.
right on.
Wait, he was a champion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
God. There you go. I agree with that. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree
wasn't
too. I
even-
honestly do.
I wasn't even watching full time at that point, but from what I know from my friends that are watching, the chase of him getting to the title was glorious. As
Yes.
soon as he won the title, his reign was a fart in church.
It was awful. It was awful.
I'm trying to think. Well, we could talk about Impact. I mean, any of the recent champions, really.
Oh God, this is too many. Honestly, I would say Jeff Hardy's 2010, 2011 because it was such a disaster.
Was Austin Aries the Impact World
Yes.
Champion?
Yes.
Well, then Austin Aries. We'll go
There
with
you
him.
go.
Okay,
I
that's
agree.
fair.
He's another guy that Billy Corgan could bring in for his
Right?
NWA.
I'm gonna go with James Storm's first run.
Okay.
It was such BS. They didn't give Bobby Roode the victory over Kurt Angle. They had James Storm beat him like on Impact the week later, and then a week later they had Bobby Roode take it off of James Storm.
Yeah, that
Like,
was-
what the hell?
Completely derailed James Storm any momentum he even had in the first place.
Any others, and then I'll get to the next one.
Nope.
ECW would have been Masato Tanaka for me.
Okay. Well, I'll just say Vince since you said it counts.
Well, okay. I was kind of under the WWE umbrella. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
Vince
saying.
had that one too, didn't he?
So
All right, I'll say Rhino because he won at the very end of the company.
okay, there you go.
And Jeff Jarrett for WCW. Sorry, Jeff.
I don't care.
We got more
It's fun to
Super
I
play.
said
Chats
sorry,
here?
Jeff Jarrett, not sorry you.
Oh well, then I don't think he cares either. Honestly,
I don't think he cares really. He's the Leatherface champion.
That's right.
We have
He's
more
got a
super
prestigious
chats, Aaron?
championship now.
Yeah. Big G, shout out to Big Baller G. He sent in $5. Thank you, G. He says, "What's up, everyone? Hope everyone is doing well. He looks to be back on the review in the near future. He misses his No DQ family. We miss you too, Big G, and hope to have you back on very soon."
Good point in the chat room. Tessa as Impact World Champion.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Who did
That
she
was a
beat?
bad look.
Sammy Callahan?
Yeah.
No,
He would.
who'd she beat? Yeah, Sammy. But it was her
he'd be at
reign.
the top then of the worst champions.
Well, Tessa's reign and the insanity that ensued afterwards would be number one for me. It was just a bad idea.
All right, let's see here. Mr. Tito sent in $2. He says NWA getting on the CW network could matter.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
He did say could. So, and again, we're talking about number 3. We're not talking about like any threat to the top 2.
It's
It's
still
as
too
of
early
as
to
of
see
this,
if it's really going to make an impact, but we have to. There's got to be the opportunity for the little seedlings to sprout and see what it'll do.
yes. The question is right now in this moment, and right now in this moment, it's Impact for Aaron. It's New Japan, which again surprised the hell out of me. But
if NWA is on the CW network, like, will it really matter that much? I mean, they could probably air a test pattern, and it might do almost as many viewers.
Well, the thing is, the way we consume media is different now. If they got on the CW 10 years ago, where it was they had more affiliates that had a wider audience in the really big era of all their superhero shows, then maybe it would have been a conversation. But if it's going to be on the app that you may not have to have Roku for, it's kind of like, ooh, cool. You have more chances to have people see it, but are they actually going to make the effort to see it? So right now in this moment, it's Impact in New Japan.
All right. Thank you for that, Jeff. And Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Thank you for that. Says, didn't WWE copy Claire Lynch with Daniel Bryan? Oh, with the whole mistress deal? Like, wasn't it Chelsea Green who came out there for an angle with Bryan?
Yeah, and it lasted as long as it should have in TNA, which was about a minute and a half.
Yeah, that was yet another awful moment that led to Impact's decline.
Yeah. That was it was bad.
I mean, it's hard to even have words for that. But
yes.
Interstate Kyle, again, shout out to Kyle, sent in $2. Thank you, Kyle. Says, why not Sid for the worst WCW and
because
WWF?
He was entertaining. He was entertaining. Through all of his faults, he was entertaining.
Yeah.
The only way he would have been the worst is if they'd gone through with making him champion 93 after what happened with Arn. That would have been the worst.
Yeah. Sid was very entertaining, and the runs were not great or anything, but I like Sid. I'm not gonna slander Sid on this live stream. No. He's a great character in wrestling history and should be in the Hall of Fame.
Sid was entertaining until he decided that he could jump off the top rope and he shattered his leg.
Well, he didn't decide that. He was ordered to. Number one. Number two, he was an XMV guest. We love Sid. My son named him Best. Never having seen Sid work before, I put on an old show. Ooh, Top Ramen Head. I'm like, there's the new name. There you go. There it is.
Top Ramen Head.
And the thing is, hey, after that, his wrestling career might have fizzled out after that broken leg, but he still went on to break all kinds of Memphis, Tennessee softball stats.
That's right.
Yeah.
My God.
Now the kids here call Solo Sokoa Top Ramen Head.
Men's underhand, slow pitch, drinking beer leagues. Yeah, he was dominant down there. What else?
Oh, God.
26.2 miles outside parts unknown. Sent in $10. I like that username. Says, looking at JJ's X Division title in the background, who was the greatest X Division champion ever? And why was it Amazing Red? He is the reason I started watching TNA, then AJ Styles from there. I guess I'll start.
Read the comments.
I would agree AJ Styles at the top, and I think that Christopher Daniels would definitely be towards the top of that list. Chris Sabin would be right up there.
Joe?
Those would be my top 3. JJ?
Definitely agree with you on AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. Got to give love to Petey Williams, Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned earlier about, or one of you did, it was either you or Jeff, about TNA bringing the talent out to PWG. You know, it was that early era, and why I fell in love with this championship in the first place, and getting to see those guys up close and in person.
Yeah. JJ's first PWG show was All-Star Weekend in WrestleMania when they brought every damn buddy out there to kind of compete with WrestleMania being in town. For me, it goes back to the Unbreakable main event that got the big rating from everybody, not just the NorCal nincompoop. Joe, Daniels, and AJ. Those three guys for me.
All right. I like it. All right. We're caught up. So I guess we can move on to the next topic.
Yeah, this is hard to say. This is a transition topic, and we don't have to spend much time on it. But with recent things transpiring on TV this past week or two, is obviously we know based on his age, Sting's retirement is imminent. I didn't think he'd ever come back when he left WWE after getting hurt. But he came back, and he's, I can't really say he's done some crazy stuff, right? He's taken some bumps. And then, so he's retiring allegedly coming up next year. And then I think it's an AEW Revolution. And then Cena's starting to mention this stuff. And you know how it is. You can retire, but do you really retire in wrestling? But let's just talk about it, because these are two huge names. They could be having their last match in 6 months. I mean, who knows? Let's go around pretty quick. Don't have to spend much time on it. Jeff, I'll start with you. But anytime these guys, are we working an angle here, especially with John Cena?
Bryan Danielson too. Keep in mind, he announced he's going to have his last year next year. So it's two guys. One guy I grew up watching, Sting. We've tried a couple times to get him on the show. Didn't work out because I'm an idiot. I've enjoyed watching John for over 20 years, and Brian was a friend of the channel for a long time too. It's unfortunately with us getting older as wrestling fans, the guys we watch get older too, and it'll be. The minute Sting put the announcement out last week, I made a graphic that I sent to JJ to put up in our promotion streams about we're going to cover Revolution, wherever it is. If people can be there, that's cool. A lot of people are commenting that wherever the show is, I got to be there if it's Sting's last match. Like, man, I remember working at Blockbuster Video and having Sting come in and talk to me 2 months after the end of WCW. Don't know what my future is. That was 22 years ago, folks, and he's still going. So
Jeff,
good for Sting that he's hit the point.
When they do. These two guys particular, Sting and Cena.
Sting and Brian.
When they do have their last matches, who are they both going to be against? Or do you would like to see them against?
I would say Sting should face Darby. I think that's the great way to end the story for him because he's in AEW. And people talking about bringing in a one-off, Undertaker, Hogan. No, Darby's the story. As far as John, it really depends where it is. If it's at WrestleMania in Philadelphia, I would say. Again, his greatest rival, I think, is either Randy Orton or Edge. So if Randy's healthy, it would be Randy Orton.
Okay. JJ.
Yes, sir.
Over to you.
I think I agree with what Jeff said as far as Sting goes. I think it's got to be Darby. Adam Copeland would be the soft second there. You figure we never got our Sting Undertaker match, and Adam came to AEW because he had wanted to work with Sting, was one of the primary reasons. Never shared a ring with Sting. He worked in the Brood Ministry of Darkness with Taker, so it might be the closest we ever get to a Sting Undertaker match. Having Adam channel his inner Brood again to go up against Sting. Cena, I wonder if the announcement was a work.
Yeah.
And I only say that because of the whole thing that went down a couple weeks prior with the Tuesday Night War and the fact that SmackDown was live immediately following Dynamite, a couple days later where Sting made his announcement. I kind of wonder if Cena did that to kind of poke the bear a little bit and stoke the fire. We all know Cena's getting up there. We all know Cena doesn't want to keep going if he can't physically compete at the level he wants to compete. And Hollywood is knocking down his door like rock more often than not these days. So his time is getting less and less. But I think his announcement was a angle just to kind of poke fun at the Sting announcement a little bit. I don't know about the Orton thing because I feel like it's been done to death. I feel kind of like with the Sting Darby thing, if Cena's going to go out, he needs to put over somebody on his way out.
Braun Breaker.
Braun, Solo, LA Knight. You know,
Oh, yeah, that's a
somebody
good
like
option.
this, you know, Grayson
Yeah.
Waller, somebody like this that could really capitalize off of that push, you know, kind of like Baron Corbin retiring Kurt Angle. Granted, Corbin really fell apart after that. We won't go down that dark journey, but it could have been so much bigger for him than what it ended up being. It needs to be that type of moment for somebody here too.
Fair point.
Yeah. I think as much I get the Darby Allin potential thing for Edge or for Sting, but my soul would want Edge, Adam Copeland for that one, because Sting's last match, I don't know, the style, like, and they would protect each other better. And trust me, they would both need it, especially Sting. So that's my gut feeling. And as Cena put over one of those younger talents. Aaron.
As far as Sting goes, and before we get to that, let me read off this super chat from Psycho Jet Black that I missed from earlier. He says, Bully Ray was more over than Mustafa Ali. Sorry, Aaron. Yeah, I mean, he was, but at the same time, Aces and Eights was a detriment to Impact Wrestling. Retribution was just bad TV that really did not make a difference in the product overall one way or another.
Retribution's contribution to this channel was the fact that somebody took your middle name and we ran like hell with it.
Yeah, and I was trolled for eternity for that.
Yes.
At least what felt like an eternity.
Right, yeah.
Psycho Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat, says, if he was in AEW, it would have been Baron Corbin versus Sting.
Oh my God. Poor Corbin, man. He's never going to get
He will never get over that. He will never.
He will never be where he should have been before that Money in the Bank botch. Ever again.
I could see Sting versus Darby Allin being Sting's last match. I would almost like to see Sting win his last match at this point, just for a feel-good moment. I don't think anybody beating Sting is necessarily going to make a huge difference, but I could see there being a one-on-one match with Sting versus somebody. I really hope it's not Ric Flair. I mean, I've seen people speculating on that. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Terrible.
No.
I think Ric Flair would do it if Tony Khan threw the money at him.
Don't give Flair and Khan any ideas, Aaron, because they'll make it happen. I swear to God they will.
Let's hope TK has enough sense to not go in that direction.
Let's hope TK has enough sense. That's the end of the show, everybody. Good night.
John Cena retiring. I think he was just working fans a little bit on SmackDown. I don't see him retiring anytime soon. Like, I could see him wrestling potentially for another 5 years, not full time or anything, but like when he has a break from his movies, like I could see him going for several more years. So it's too early to say like who's going to be his last match, because the landscape of WWE could be very different in 5 years.
Remember, though, even before the announcement, that is being considered, trying to get after the Sting thing, he said when he was at Money in the Bank that Colin's not wrong. He said at Money in the Bank that he didn't know how many more of these he has left in him, and that was in July. So I do think he's definitely seen the end of that road, and I think it's sooner than a lot of us want it to be, because John, when he has the right frame of mind, he can still go and have these matches with these young kids. So
if he goes another 4 years, to Aaron's point, then he will be at his 25th anniversary. I think that would be a good time to bow out.
Yeah,
I agree.
There you go.
I agree with that.
Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, if Vince was writing it, it would be Corbin versus John Cena. Well, thankfully, Vince is no longer involved in that part of the company.
If Vince was writing it, it would be Charlotte versus Cena, and Charlotte would win, and Jeff would roll for it.
That is not true at all. Well, mostly not. Anyway.
Yeah, so as far as Cena's last match goes, like I think he's going to win that 17th world title before he calls it a career.
Ooh, okay.
I think he's breaking the record, personally. But we'll see.
If he does it, then he needs to do it somewhere where there's the Money in the Bank cash in still in play, and just have someone cash it right in.
Right.
Take it right off of him.
Yeah,
dude.
Because he's not going to be a full-timer anyway. He's not going to be a full-timers anyway. So let him get the belt. He gets his 17th, and then someone cashes right in and gets their reign.
Dude, have him beat Roman at WrestleMania just to shitpost the fans, and then Priest cash in on him. Oh my God. That'd be great.
All right,
Caught up?
we're caught up.
Main event time, right? And I don't know what to put here, but on Raw this past week, the Judgment Day regains the tag titles thanks to Jimmy Uso. So they are clearly planting Jimmy versus Jey seed for what we presume would be WrestleMania. But the titles are back in Judgment Day, who have Rhea Ripley, Dom. I mean, they're looking pretty solid as a heel faction. We were just talking about kind of scratching our head why, Cody and Jey won the tag titles to begin with. And here we are. So, Jeff, I'll start with you. I guess really the moral of the story is that you can talk about Judgment Day if you want, but I don't know. I like talking about the Bloodline, right? So you got Jimmy and Jey just really, really butting heads here, setting things up.
I took note of Roman's reaction when he came back to TV last week and just the continued side eye he gave Jimmy at every single opportunity. Jimmy is trying whatever he can to ingratiate himself with the tribal chief to get himself back in good graces so he's not an island unto himself. Because the minute he laid that kick on Roman, and then the minute he laid that kick on his brother, he became an island of irrelevancy unto himself. And he realizes that when in the context of the storyline, if the push is to get Jimmy and Jey at WrestleMania, whether it's a main event slot or whether it's a featured attraction, if you will, in Philadelphia, it's going to continue to have to be a slow burn. So he's cost him the titles here. They're on separate brands technically, although they're wearing the wrong colors. They need to color coordinate their wardrobe better for Mondays and Fridays. But they've got to keep this slow. And I don't know if escalating it that quickly by having Cody and Jey drop it, 8 days, was the right idea. I get they want to keep us thinking, which is the idea, keep us on our toes. Having that stare off with Cody and Roman was good. The irony of having Cody staring at Roman and having Nick Aldis getting between Cody and him was pretty funny. If you think back to All In and NWA 70, that was a pretty cool moment on television for me anyway. I don't know what they're doing, and I think I think that's why I like it, because I don't know, and I'm not this entitled like I want to know everything right now fan. Like I'm enjoying being surprised.
Jeff, now look at the Judgment Day. They all have title belts, right?
Yep. Well,
Dominic has the NXT one, doesn't he?
Oh, that's right.
North American title.
And he lost it and won it back, just like the tag. See, they're losing and winning back, which is like a lot of times what heels do. Remember, Mr. Perfect lost to the Texas Tornado, won it back. Talk about the Intercontinental title. So again, they're really wanting to establish Judgment Day, or these heels will do anything to stay on top.
And what I find funny is Rhea hasn't lost her title since Mania, and she looks like the weakest champion because of it. Isn't that odd how that's booked, how that's played out?
And then Priest has the briefcase, so
he does. That's always
Judgment Day running strong. All right, Jay.
Don't count Crown Jewel out. I wouldn't be surprised to see her lose the belt at Crown Jewel.
That's what I was thinking.
Get it back on Raw a couple days later,
and then she would have,
or even at Survivor Series, get it back.
Two-time champions. Rhea's had it how many times? How many times has Rhea had it? A couple times.
Because at the end of the day, she doesn't have to get pinned. There's 4 other women in the match, and that's her angle going against Pierce. Is I was never defeated for it.
This version of the title, since they've evolved the name and changed the belt, it's like the first time with this championship, because she won it at WrestleMania.
She's had the main title before, though.
Yes.
Okay, JJ.
But I like the fact that the Judgment Day got the belts back. I didn't really buy Cody and Jey as champions. I'm a little surprised that they gave them back to Priest and Finn, because I thought that the reason that they did the transfer was to set it up for Finn and JD McDonough to maybe get the belts. And okay, well, now everyone's got a belt except you, Priest. What are you going to do? You've got your briefcase. Step up. You've been getting in everybody's face. You've been talking about how people are falling apart. You tried to throw Dom under the bus for losing his title. He got his back. You're the only one without a championship now. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they did.
That's where I thought that they were going to go with it, but they didn't. They gave it right back to Priest and Balor. I don't know if they're getting cold feet about JD McDonough, because dude is freaking phenomenal. Him and Balor would be an amazing tandem, especially since it's essentially teacher and student.
Any thoughts on the Usos, I mean, it's really early. It's way
the
early.
Usos are gonna be at Mania. It's Philadelphia. It's the city of brotherly love. If you don't have brother versus brother, you've totally missed the booking strategy. I mean, I'm just saying. And whether
But wait,
it's
that's
gonna
not
be the
brotherly
main event,
love. Do you think after their match, if it happens, by being in Philadelphia, after the match is over, they hug?
I think they could. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they could totally squash everything right
Yep.
there, and have that be the end of the story.
That'll
And
be
then,
drama. That'll be a good
and then
story.
depending on what happens with Roman the next night, do they realign with him to make the bloodline strong again, or do they double down on their distancing themselves from Roman and cost him the title against whoever he defends against?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and I mean, it doesn't matter. It could definitely main event night one if they don't have a strong enough other match to have it main event. You know, if they do Charlotte versus Bianca, if they do Jade versus somebody, then that definitely could also main event night one. You know, be a strong enough closing match. We'll just have to see. But I think they've got enough room where they can slow burn this and have the next play really be at Survivor Series, have them on opposite sides.
Yeah.
Next play be in the Rumble, have one of them eliminate the other.
Yep.
And then sets up the match at Mania.
Yep.
There you go. Jeff, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I think we should do it in Philadelphia if they're not the main event. Have them fight, get ready to square off after the match is over, and have Pritchard. He's still in the company. Have him come out in full brother love gimmick. We are in the city of brotherly love. This is too much brotherly hate. And Jimmy and Jay look at each other and go, hell with this, and super kick him and get back
super kick to
yes.
brother love.
Take out Pritchard again, because that's always fun to watch.
There you go.
Damn right.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to pass it over to you now on this. Don't know if any other chats came in, but let's go.
We do have some super chats. The This Guy Experience says, the big four of the review. We appreciate that. And he says he's looking for his future spot, Virtue. Got to get him back on.
Yeah, we didn't forget about you.
Yeah, we did not. We'll get you back on pretty soon.
He's been on a couple times, too. So
just got to find the right week when Walter's not hovering in the chat.
Hey, he's Mr. Reliable.
Walter.
He is the reliable one.
We need to get a parody video of Orndorff's WCW thing, Mr. Reliable for Walter. We need to put that together. It's got to be a thing.
The reliable one, Walter Cruz. We love you. We love you. This Guy Experience. And speaking of Walter, he sent in $5. So much love to you guys. Yeah. He says, after the one-on-one match at WrestleMania, Jimmy is going to get what's coming to him from Roman since he's trying to be Roman in his absence. That will lead to the Usos reunion. Well, I had a thought process on this. I pretty much agree with what JJ said. Like, I'm surprised this happened so quickly, and I actually predicted Judgment Day to retain the tag team titles and not even lose it in the first place. So it was all a bit odd, but I'm thinking they have a plan. Remember, they did the slow burn with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline leading up to WrestleMania. We're probably going to see a couple twists and turns. We got Survivor Series, big potential War Games match, and then Royal Rumble. I think that Virtue was right about Roman Reigns. I think after Roman Reigns drops the championship, probably to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, he's going to go babyface. And I think that scenario with the Usos having their match and then hugging it out, they're going to get back with Roman Reigns, and the Bloodline will be a babyface faction reunited, just like when DX were heels and then they turned into babyfaces. I think that's what's going to happen with the Bloodline, and keep Judgment Day going strong. Maybe even add a new member or two and have Judgment Day as the top heel faction against the Bloodline as babyfaces after WrestleMania 40. That's what I think is going to happen at this point.
I like that. I mean, if the Bloodline run continues beyond Roman losing the title and then they turn as baby faces, then Paul Heyman the whole time, it's only the third inning. He actually was very right, because the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning is going to be the babyface run of the Bloodline. So that sounds plausible, Aaron.
Yeah, but does Paul stay with him in that role? Because Paul, the babyface, just sounds
no. Paul would be gone. Yeah, Paul would be gone. He'd probably go try to get somebody against him at that point.
What about Solo?
Well, maybe Solo goes face too. I mean, he's good in his role as a heel.
He is.
I
Yeah.
don't buy Solo as a baby face, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't either.
Is there any
he's
other
too
heel
much
that
of
you
an
never would buy?
Umaga. He's too much of an Umaga. Would you buy Umaga as a baby face? Like, nah, he's too much of a badass. He
I
needs
mean,
to be that badass.
I'm sure he's got that entertaining side of him that we just haven't seen on TV yet that he can bust out.
He's gonna dance like
Or-
his dad. No.
Or
and then people
that's
say
when
Vince is
you-
back.
That's when you sign Jacob Fatu and team him up with Solo. Because Jacob Fatu ain't gonna be no damn baby face. That shit ain't happening.
I mean, they could do that. They could have Solo say, "Roman, you've gone soft. I'm disappointed in you," and they can have Solo.
And
try
Paul
to
brings
be,
in Jay. Oh my God, that would be great television.
like they could
Going
have
into,
a
like,
new try to
SummerSlam.
start a new bloodline against the OG bloodline, kind of doing like NWO Wolfpack versus NWO Hollywood.
Oh, I was going to be even stronger and have Paul Heyman have the new Midnight Express against the old Midnight Express.
There you go.
You guys remember that
There's
shit?
an
I don't know. I'm just saying. There's Paul Virtue's right. Third inning. We got a long way to go, and I'm here for it.
Well, the whole time when he's saying that, I'm thinking it's till Roman loses the title, then it's over.
Okay.
That's not, but I'm just like, that's not the case, because Roman losing the title could just be the 6th or 7th inning stretch for the babyface turn, and then think about how much. Think about the tickets that the Bloodline draw at live events. The ratings, they do make a difference, particularly Roman, and the merch sales. And that's his heels.
Yeah.
Why not parlay that into the babyface run?
Yep.
You know,
am I the only one that loved Logan Paul's one-liner on SmackDown about the last time I fought Rey Mysterio? Freaking Roman Reigns was still here fighting on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and the fact that he brought up Roman's name was gold. Logan Paul knows what he's doing.
He does, man. I give him far less shit every time I see him. He gets it. He understands.
Aaron, anything else that you have on this? Any other super chats? I mean, we're getting close, man. We've been doing good on these shows. Right.
We do have a couple left here. Psycho Jet Black keeping us going late. He says, this is for JJ. Dead man walking. You've done it now. You've gone and made a big mistake. And I can't allow you to think you can just walk away.
That was his theme song, wasn't it?
The end is now.
That's the one that JJ just lampoons and doesn't sing-songy voice.
Hate that song with a passion.
Why?
Because the names are so corny.
When was that post Limp Bizkit? Like after he did Limp Bizkit one?
Yes, that was right. That was the babyface taker from 02 to 03 before Vince and Kane buried him alive.
I mean, the dude singing sounded even whinier than Fred Durst, if that was possible.
Oh shit!
So I just sit there, I clown it every time. Jeff knows. I'm like, you done it now. You gone.
Is that the same singer that did Bischoff? Did that same singer do Bischoff?
Yes.
Okay.
That explains
I think he
so
did
much.
Billy Gunn's theme song too, The Ass Man.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Maybe.
Oh, that's right. Maybe.
I feel like he's done a lot of that singer. Is it Jim Johnston singing that or somebody else?
No, I don't think it's Jim singing.
Doesn't Jim
composed
Johnston do some vocals on some of those songs?
He might. God, I don't know.
Man, I'm not sure, but I know they had a singer who did like several of the vocals for those WWE tracks around that time. Maybe somebody in the chat knows like who the person was that did the vocals for those songs. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, the Undertaker's no longer badass biker theme 02 to 03. Again, the music stayed the same. Once he went away from Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit, the music stayed the same. That was awesome.
And I think the guy who did the singing for Mr. Kennedy song was the same guy that did Billy Gunn's song.
Might have. I can hear that voice. And
that voice. That somebody did the vocals for a lot of those songs, during that Jim Johnston period.
Was it Ashman or was it the one?
I think the same guy did the vocals for both of those songs.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think the one had vocals.
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't. That's right. God, I don't remember. God, I'm gonna go back and
Well,
watch
we're
this shit
getting
now.
old, Jeff. You know, when you hit 40, you start to forget some things.
Oh,
We
I
used to
know,
be
I
like-
know.
Don't remind me, Aaron. I'm pushing 50.
All right, I don't know if this is true or not. Psycho Jet Black said Steve Broderick was the vocalist. Maybe he did a Google
Could
search
be.
on that.
It could be. We can look it up off air when we all have,
Yeah.
But
If somebody can find any more information on that, share it in the chat room. But let me get to this.
But in any event, yeah, it's awful.
Let me get to these other super chats here. This guy Experience, shout out again, much love to you, says, want to see Jey Uso go after the Intercontinental and US title, and Jimmy Uso costs him. I mean, that's one way to keep it going. Maybe Jay goes after Gunther and Jimmy gets involved again and keeps getting in his business.
The problem with that is that Gunther doesn't need Jimmy Uso to save his ass.
Right. Now, if Jimmy goes after Rey Mysterio and Jay cost him back, then we're talking. Because
if Logan is successful in Crown Jewel.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I totally forgot about that, to be honest with you, until right now.
And I have a feeling that we're gonna have a new champ.
I think it should be. I absolutely think it should be.
Same.
But we'll talk about that on our predictions
next
video. It'll be right before the Crown Jewel event. So I think it's Thursday, November 2nd will be the predictions for Crown Jewel.
Talk Wrestling will be Tuesday that week. Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I can't do it Tuesday. We're doing Halloween. Oh, my God. I'm going to be so busy Halloween.
Well, yeah. Halloween is Tuesday. So, it's going to be a busy week because my wedding anniversary is next Sunday, by the way.
Yes.
So I'm not sure when we're doing the next review. I'll let Virtue decide on that one.
Not Tuesday. Please, not Tuesday.
Well, that's Halloween. We're all doing stuff on Halloween.
Yeah,
I got trick or treaters, and
it's either going to be next Thursday, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, right, Aaron?
Yeah,
Thursday
or 2 weeks from today. So we'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those days.
It's going to be busy time with everything going on with Halloween, my wedding anniversary. We got Caitlin's birthday. All this stuff happening in a short period of time.
The Sunday, the day after Crown Jewel, there's no watch along because Impact's doing their show Friday. So
Aaron,
Sunday the 5th, fine.
What day is Caitlin's birthday?
Same as yours, 30th.
Yeah, the 30th. So that's coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, so you deserve a little bit of a break. Take a week off.
Busy week next week.
If it's a slow week, if we have like a lot of news this week, I think we'll definitely come back on Thursday with a review. Otherwise, we'll probably come back after Crown Jewel to go over the show. But let's get to these last two super chats here from Psycho Jet Black. Thank you. I appreciate the super chats. Says,
I like that.
This is a tough one, and I'll explain why. He says, which Beatle does each person here represent? And maybe JJ, since he's a Beatles fanatic like me, and we did a video on my personal channel if you guys ever wanted to watch that.
Awesome video.
It's hard to say because George was the quiet Beatle, and Jeff really isn't quiet, but Jeff, I think, is maybe sometimes underappreciated, and he has a lot of talent, and he brings a lot to the table. So I could say Jeff is George.
No.
And
I like that.
JJ, I guess I would say you're Ringo, and that's not a knock. I love Ringo, and people sometimes think that he's like the odd man out, but Ringo, he delivered the beat, and he had some great beats, and some of them really carried the songs. And I think that often you're on here and you help bring a lot to the discussion, and I think you're a major part of it. So I would say Ringo, and that's not at all an insult. And
no, I appreciate your logic.
So with that said, is it fair to say Aaron is Paul?
Yes, because you're very outspoken, like
controversial.
And I've had the longevity since the beginning. John got killed because somebody didn't like his thoughts, and in Virtue, one day you might piss off the wrong person.
I see people want me to be Ringo. I get it, but I think Aaron made a case there.
It's funny, Aaron, because I saw the super chat pop into the stream there, and I've been thinking about it ever since I saw it, so that when you brought it up, I could have my point. And I figured you're completely right as far as you and Virtue, John and Paul, respectively. I had figured me, George, because I'm a little bit quieter on the panels here.
That's why I was.
And Jeff is kind of zany, kind of witty, like Ringo, and like you said,
sunglasses. He wears sunglasses too, not just.
He brings a lot to all the things, not just here on NoDQ and the review, but the entire multiverse of media, whether it's on-screen talent, production, doing his own solo thing.
And he always
and-
gets
and
blisters
Ringo
on his
isn't
fingers from too much
Ringo
typing.
isn't appreciated either. You know, Ringo's solo career is very undervalued in
I
comparison to the others. And it feels like ever since he came back into the fold after his time away at the Casa initially, he's kind of been underappreciated from the NoDQ galaxy en masse.
Yeah, you could interchange the two, like George and Ringo
But
both
I totally agree.
underappreciated.
You, Paul, and him, John.
Yeah,
Now,
I would agree.
I say if you ask that question,
I need to get the circle glasses. Like
there you go. If you ask that question during the XMV run, and there was more than the two of us, I think Aaron and I would have been John and Paul, and it would have been. I think based on longevity, Aaron's still Paul, and I've been John. Oh hell yeah, Ringo's an amazing talent. Period, but
he's not the flashiest, but he's one of the most technically sound.
Oh God!
To be honest with
you, create a beat for any rhythm that they needed.
Yeah, you know what?
I'd rather be George, but in his '80s solo run.
Yes, there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna try to get us to the next super chat.
I was gonna say we could go for another half hour here talking about the Beatles.
The Beatles again. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
If you missed that show I did on Aaron's channel, check that out where we discussed the Beatles. And me and Jeff, along with my dad, discussed the top 10 solo Beatles songs not that long ago. You can find that on my channel or Jeff's channel.
Yep.
All right, Rage of Wrestling. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Says the NoDQ review is the only time Jey really is the actual main event. LOL, yes, I went there.
He's out of line, but he's not wrong.
That is a really good super
chat. Poor Jey. I think Jey is doing a great job. And I said this on the last review that he comes out there and he gets a main event reaction.
He does.
The people love the guy. They are fully behind him. If Triple H needed a guy to be the world champion, they could go with Jey Uso. I think people would believe it.
Yeah,
Jey Uso has.
Go ahead, Jeff.
He has slipped very easily and very smoothly into the Dolph Ziggler role. Dolph Ziggler would go out there and pop the crowd, get the hey, let me make my point before you scoff at me, guys.
I hate to say that this is an insult to Jey because I like Dolph Ziggler, but I mean,
well, no, okay. If I was not to finish my point, I wasn't going to say at the end because Dolph at the end just it was what it was. But for the crux of his career, Nick, Dolph, whatever you want to call him, was able to go out there, get the crowd to react, and have a great match. He was even world champion at one point after being Mr. Money in the Bank. I don't think Jey could be a world champion, even now. I don't believe that. I don't think he'd be a credible world champion because he's been his most popular in the era of his cousin being the guy. If they pulled the trigger on him when Roman first became champion and this Bloodline era didn't exist in the first place, maybe there's more of a discussion. But now after 3 years, US or IC at best, not the world or universal champion.
See, I disagree. I was going to say that I feel like they have pushed main event Jey Uso to the point where he very easily could fill that Mick Foley role. He's not going to be a long-term champion, but he's the guy you could give the belt to, run it for 10, 20 yards, get the first down, move the ball up the field, pass it on to whoever's going to be the next guy.
And what a turnaround from not even knowing which Uso was which. Like I couldn't even tell the guys apart as recent as 2019. And it's been such a turnaround for him. Anyways, Psycho Jet Black keeps us going here. So he said, how
Psycho
about
Jet Black? Do this on Thursdays. Just saying.
How about Dolph Ziggler for TNA or NWA champion?
I won't move any needles.
Yeah. I mean, he ain't going to be AEW world champion for sure, but yeah, he could potentially be the guy that carries.
Look, JJ, CM Punk barely moved the needles for AEW. That's all I need to see any of these other non-Romans, non-Brocks, non-Cenas. They're just not going to move the needles.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a drastic movement, but I think that, with the birth of the CW deal, with the birth of TNA rebranding itself, if he was the first champion in the new era for either of those companies, I think it would be a great way to bring casual fans to the brand, because people know who Dolph Ziggler is. They don't know who Josh Alexander is. They don't know who the current NWA champion is, EC3. They don't recognize him the way they recognize Dolph Ziggler. Would he be a huge needle mover the way that Roman is? Hell no. But he'd be enough to bring some fans to check in this product, be like, oh, Dolph Ziggler's here. He's their champion. Let me see what they got going on. Again, utility guy. Run the ball for a few yards, get some eyes on the product, make a new star.
And I'll tell you what, if he goes to TNA, Nick Nemeth being hard to kill on January 13th wouldn't be a bad branding idea.
There you go. This guy Experience sent in $2, and I kind of agree with this. Is Jay the new Jeff Hardy minus the issues now? I mean, I would say that's a better comparison than Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
So was Jimmy Matt.
I'd rather be Matt than Marty Jannetty.
That's a good point.
Jimmy's definitely the Jannetty if we're going to make a comparison, but I don't think it's a fair comparison. I think the Hardy comparison is much more fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a bit early to say, but I mean, yeah, Jimmy kind of feels like Matt Hardy right now compared to Jeff Hardy. He feels like, he's turned heel and he's there.
He gets from that crowd, especially when he climbs the ropes and is doing this whole thing, and you see 10,000, 15,000 doing it with him.
I was at SummerSlam. He got a main event reaction, like an appropriate reaction for a guy in that spot. Like right when they did the angle at Madison Square Garden, I was there for that too. I mean, the place, the roof was basically blowing off for the Usos. Like,
I haven't been to a WWE live show in years, but the reactions I'm seeing on TV, he's getting maybe not as big of, but close to Cody Rhodes and LA Knight pops.
Yeah. And it's all about sustainability. You know, I've said for a while, you know, Roman I was starting to buy the Roman act when I saw him at SummerSlam 2021. And then he got the same noise level wise in Ontario, California for Tribute to the Troops. I was like, all right, I get it. He's the guy. It's all about sustaining it. Jay is starting to sustain it. I just don't see it as world champion, even the utility McFoley lengthy reign. But I've been wrong before. God knows. So,
well, we'll see what happens with him. And thank you for that. And Psycho Jet Black says the Beatles' Number 9 is a better song than Big Evil. Okay. JJ.
Agreed.
No.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
The Beatles' Number 9 song is maybe better than one WWE song, and that is what was that?
Dream Mode.
Okay. Yeah, I will say that. Okay. Beatles' Number 9, better than Brie Mode, better than Stephanie McMahon's most recent theme song, better than Right to Censor. There you go. 3 songs. No.
Right to Censor got the reaction it exactly was supposed to get. That's
Right to Censor, though, that was like you know, like when Earthquake was like just rumbling type. That you can't even count that as like a standard theme. That was a gimmick.
Well, can you even count Number 9 as an actual song?
Yeah, well,
that's fair. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Number 9 song. I don't know any Beatle fan that is, but it was them trying
Name a worse Beatles track.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it was them trying to do something experimental and out of left field. It was them trying to do something different that got the fans talking. And here we are, you know, damn near 60 years later, still discussing it. So they got the job done.
That song was left field. That was in the parking lot at the stadium across the street from the stadium. Jesus. Whew.
All right, we got one
Number
more
9
here.
is better than Carlito's new theme.
That's accurate.
You might be onto something there. Real quick, this is After Dark now. I'll throw this over to Virtue because I haven't played it yet.
Virtue.
Psycho Jet Black says, "What are your thoughts on the new Super Mario game?" Virtue?
It's really dang good. I mean, it's a must play. It's probably the best 2D Mario game since Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo.
Wow,
that's high praise. Wow,
it's good. It's good.
I'm looking
Okay,
forward to
Nintendo
playing.
So
again,
if
man.
you're for those Sonic fans out there, the new Sonic game, that's really good too. I know a lot of people like the old pixel style art with Sonic, 2D Sonic, but
Yeah.
they're both damn good. So if you like them both, man, I don't save up or ask Santa Claus, or if your birthday's coming up, play them both.
All right, we are caught up, Virtue.
Hey, let's go around and do our plugs. JJ, welcome back. It's been great to have you on. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's been good to be here, Virtue. Thank you to Aaron to having me here. Yeah, check out my new endeavor, For the Love of Wrestling, every Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It's basically daily wrestling reviews. Mondays, I talk about the stuff that happened over the weekend, so SmackDown, Rampage, Collision. Tuesdays, I talk about Raw. Wednesdays, NXT. Thursdays, Dynamite, the day after each thing. Just West Coast time, it's too late over here for me to try to go live at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. That's 1 or 2 in the morning East Coast time. It's just not going to be conducive of getting any kind of response. But check it out. Did the first 3 episodes last week, got a pretty good response.
Good to have you on as always, and you're welcome back anytime. All right.
Thank you. Just got to make sure I beat Walter to the punch.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
Once in a while I can stretch it to 5-man panel. Like I'm not opposed to doing that. Okay, Jeff.
So Aaron has the clip. This is why I don't want the review to be on Halloween Day. We are literally working all day Halloween between JJ's review of Raw and then the 3 live streams covering the Halloween franchise and Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou, and then our coverage of night 2 of Halloween Havoc. I don't want to do anymore.
I mean, you could do Talk Wrestling at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern once Halloween Havoc is done if you really
You hush your mouth.
If the reviewer predictions there that Thursday, man, it may be your only opportunity.
I don't want to deal with the trick-or-treaters. I want to go to bed, my old ass. I don't care. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's all Halloween Day. The usual fare this coming week. Meech's Musings tomorrow. That Boy Sports Bar on JG's and my channel Tuesday. Greg Cherry Show Wednesday. By the way, luck of the draw on demand from this last Wednesday on the Greg's show. Oh my God, so much fun. So ridiculous. And then Talk Wrestling on Thursday this week at least. And then we're back at it again.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Good having you on. All right, over to
Always
you,
good to be
Aaron. And I saw Super Chat come in from Psycho Jet Black After Dark.
Okay, I will answer this, and you guys can also give your thoughts. Okay, so worst Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, maybe the one with Abdullah the Butcher being
91.
electrocuted. That
91.
one is up there. 92 was not great. So one of those two, maybe 93.
So 91 with the Chamber of Horrors match was bad. 92, the main event was drizzling shit. Absolutely, with Sting and Jake and the spin the wheel match.
Yeah.
93 had good matches, and even Vader and Cactus with the kind of finish was okay. 1991, horrible Chamber of Horrors match. Anybody remember the Lex Luger Ron Simmons feud where Ron Simmons was basically Booker T and Lex was Triple H from WrestleMania 19? Yeah, that went down back then too. Same basic principle. Horrible show. Awful show.
Jeff, what was the one that the main event got cut off? Was it Goldberg and DDP or who? What?
That was 98. Okay, so yeah, because of Warrior and Hogan, 98 is definitely in the discussion.
Yeah.
God.
I haven't seen any of them from start to finish. So, but I was watching a video about the worst pay-per-views of 2000, and that was like right up there as one of the worst ones WCW did that year.
Yeah.
And you figured was when WCW was already spiraling the drain.
Yeah. I mean, there were not a lot of great Halloween Havocs, actually. I would say the peak ones were when the company was hot, like 94, 95, 96 was a good one. 97 was maybe their best one of their best ones.
95 was
Noah did a retro call for Eddie Guerrero and Rey
95.
Mysterio.
Okay, 95 was ridiculous. Okay, Paul White.
there was a live
time.
murder on pay-per-view, and he
The
came back.
Yeti coming out there, like, but it was entertaining. Like, I
Yes.
remember that fondly. Like, it was fun.
Hey,
It was campy.
95 was the reformation of the Horsemen with Pillman, which was a great
Jeff,
angle.
95 Halloween Havoc, Hulk Hogan burned a certain rag sheet live on television.
He did, man. That was like, seriously, Hogan all in black as a babyface before NWO was what it was, if we're
Really
being honest.
bizarre, like a prototype Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, it was. But him
That's-
burying the dirt sheet was so good.
All right. So yeah, we're caught up. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and Virtue will let you wrap us up.
Yeah, this will be short and sweet. Be sure to go to x.com and follow me there at NoDQ_Virtue. Man, isn't that just a sharp looking photo right there?
Yeah, it is.
Man, if I could look like any man today, I'd look like Roman Reigns, man. But
What's
anyway,
cool is you can use that even if you lose the title because there's no belt. It's just a great shot of Roman.
go to NoDQ.com/merch and check out all the t-shirts there. But that's it. Another great show to all the NoDQ Galaxy and crew, for Aaron, for JJ, for Jeff. I am Virtue. Stay tuned because we will see you again in the future at some point. Stay tuned to Twitter, right? X.com, and we'll keep you posted as to when that show will be. Good night, everybody.
Check out Twix and say, yeah.
Stay safe, y'all.